Good morning, one and all. I welcome you all to Ganesh IAS Academy. In today's session, we'll be seeing science and technology based current affairs from the date November 21st to November 27th, 2023. Let us get into the news articles one by one. The first news that we are going to see for today is Ixchiq Vaccine. Okay, so what is this vaccine for which disease, and who has developed it? All those details we must have to understand from this topic. Okay, so Ixchiq Vaccine. Recently, the Food and Drug Administration, okay, so the Food and Drug Administration of United States has approved the world's first or the inaugural vaccine of chikungunya. Okay, so this vaccine, that is Ixchiq vaccine, is for chikungunya, and this novel vaccine, the new vaccine, is named Ixchiq and developed by European vaccine manufacturer, that is Valneva. Okay, and then it marks a significant leap in combating this chikungunya virus. Okay, and then it is administered as a single dose injection. Okay, injection into the muscle, and then it contains live weakened version of chikungunya virus. So this vaccine contains live but weakened version of chikungunya virus, and then it also causes symptoms which is similar to the disease in the vaccine recipient. Okay, so this is what we need to know. Next is the vaccine has been approved for administration in people who are over 18 years or older and are at risk of exposure to the virus. So to the people who are at the risk to the exposure to the virus, and then generally to people who are above 18 years old, this vaccine is administered. This is what the Food and Drug Administration has said. Now we have to get into the details of what chikungunya is, because this virus, this vaccine is for chikungunya virus. Okay, so chikungunya is mosquito-borne viral disease. So it is spread through mosquito. Okay, that is, here mosquito acts as the vector. Okay, and then it was first recognized in 1952 during outbreak in South Tanzania, and then it is a RNA virus, that is ribonucleic acid virus. Okay, viruses are of two types, one is DNA virus and RNA virus. Maximum of the viruses are RNA viruses only. Okay, so it is a ribonucleic acid virus, that is RNA virus, which belongs to alpha virus genus and the family Togaviridae. All these details are also important. What symptoms do we have for chikungunya? Chikungunya causes fever and severe joint pain. Okay, so this joint pain is very typical of chikungunya, which is often debilitating and it varies in duration. This joint pain will weaken the person. That is why it is called as debilitating. Okay, and then dengue and Zika virus have similar symptoms to chikungunya, making chikungunya easy to misdiagnose. Okay, so if people are having chikungunya, then since dengue and Zika are also having similar symptoms, it may be confusing for diagnosis. Okay, this misdiagnosis is very common. Next is, how is it transmitted from one person to another? We already saw that mosquito acts as a vector here. Okay, so chikungunya is transmitted to humans by the bite of infected mosquito. And which type of mosquitoes are involved here? Most commonly, the mosquitoes involved are Aedes aegypti and then Aedes albopictus. These two, and these two are the same mosquitoes which are also responsible for the spread of dengue also. This must be kept in mind. Okay, and then they bite throughout the daylight hours. This is important. So when we are at the risk of daylight biting, okay, then we must have to be very careful, and there may be peaks of activity in early morning and late afternoon. This is also important. Okay, early morning and late afternoon there are peaks of activity, and then they generally are active during the daylight hours. Next is, what is its prevalence? According to WHO, it is prevalent in Africa, Asia and Americas, but there is sporadic outbreaks reported in other regions of the world also. So it is almost present in every part of the world. Okay, Africa, Asia and Americas, both the Americas. Okay, so this is what we need to know with respect to chikungunya and its vaccine. Okay, and then treatment option. What treatment options do we have for chikungunya? First is, presently there is no cure for chikungunya. So there is no 100% cure for chikungunya, and recently this Ixchiq vaccine has been created. Okay, and it will be administered to people who are above the age of 18 years. Okay, and they focus on symptomatic relief as the primary approach. So what symptomatic reliefs do they involve in? So the treatment involves the use of analgesics, antipyretics. Analgesic means the drugs which are focused on pacifying pain. Okay, so those are called as analgesic. So it is like a painkiller. Next is antipyretic, means it reduces fever. Antipyretic drugs reduces fever, and then rest is advised. Next is adequate fluid intake is also advised to people who are having chikungunya. Next is Indian government initiative. What Indian government initiatives are there for control of chikungunya or for prevention of chikungunya? We have this program called National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program. Okay, so vector-borne disease means those diseases which are transmitted through a vector, be it an insect or any mosquito, worm or anything. Okay, so this is an umbrella program for prevention and control of vector-borne diseases, which includes malaria, lymphatic filariasis, kala azar, dengue, chikungunya and then Japanese encephalitis. Okay, so all this is important. Okay, so all these are vector-borne disease. That is what we need to understand here, and chikungunya is one of them because it is transmitted through mosquito. Okay, so this is what we need to know about this chikungunya vaccine that has been recently developed, that is Ixchiq. The topic that we are going to discuss now is tantalum. Why is tantalum in news? Let us understand that. Tantalum, a rare metal with remarkable properties. Okay, so it has remarkable properties, and this has been in news because it was discovered in the sands of Sutlej River in Punjab by a team of researchers from Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar. Okay, in IIT Ropar, a team of researchers have discovered this tantalum in the sands of Sutlej River in Punjab. Okay, so that is why it is in the news. So we need to understand from exam point of view, we need to understand what tantalum is, what is it used for, what is its property and applications. Okay, so tantalum is a rare metal with the atomic number 73. Okay, and then it was first discovered in 1802 by Swedish chemist Anders Gustav Eckenberg. Okay, so he was the first person who discovered it in 1802, and India imports most of its tantalum. Now they have discovered tantalum reserves in the sands of Sutlej River, but so far India has been importing. Okay, so India import most of its tantalum metal from United States, United Kingdom and Germany, and the discovery of tantalum can help enhance India's electronics and semiconductor industry. So from here itself we can understand that tantalum is very useful in electronics and semiconductor industry. Okay, next is, what are all the different properties of tantalum that we need to know? So properties, it is gray in color, heavy metal, and then it is highly corrosion resistant. Very important property that tantalum holds. Okay, so it is highly corrosion resistant, forming an oxide layer when exposed to air. So it forms an oxide layer over it when exposed to air, thus it becomes corrosion resistant. Okay, and then pure tantalum is ductile in nature. Okay, so what is ductility? Ductility means it can be stretched into a thin wire without breaking. Okay, generally in properties of materials we talk about ductility, malleability and other things. Here it is ductile. Okay, which means it can be stretched into wire without breaking. Okay, next is extremely resistant to chemical attack. This tantalum is extremely resistant to chemical attack at temperatures below 150 degrees Celsius. Okay, so This is there, and it is affected only by hydrofluoric acid, very important, and acidic solutions with fluoride ions. So acidic solutions with fluoride ions and then hydrofluoric acid, these two are the important things which will affect tantalum. Moreover, there is also yet another chemical, that is sulfur trioxide, which will also affect tantalum. Okay, next is tantalum also has extreme high melting point. Okay, so it has extremely high melting point. Because of this high melting point, it is also used as a substitute for platinum, which we'll study in the application system. Okay, in the application topic. So tantalum. Next is, what are all its applications? First is in electronic sector. How are we going to use tantalum? So capacitors which are made of tantalum. What are capacitors used for? For storing electricity, right? So capacitors which are made of tantalum are vital for storing more electricity in smaller devices. When is this used? I mean, more electricity in smaller devices, generally in portable electronic devices, this application is needed. Okay, so there tantalum is used, and in India, a committee of experts within the Ministry of Mines has recognized a collection of 30 critical minerals for India, and of these 30 critical minerals, tantalum is one of them. Okay, very important to be noted. Next is, it is also used to make components for chemical plants, nuclear power plants, aeroplanes and missiles. Okay, these applications tantalum has, and this point is very important. It may be asked in your prelims question. Okay, directly this can be asked, thus that tantalum is one of the 30 minerals, 30 critical minerals for India, which has been suggested by a committee of experts. Okay, next is, what other applications do they have? I mean, tantalum has substitute for platinum, that we already discussed, that it has high melting point and it is frequently used as a substitute for platinum, which is more expensive. Platinum is actually more expensive. Thus, since platinum also very high melting point and tantalum also has high melting point, it can be used as a substitute application wise. Okay, next is medical applications. How is it used, or why is it used in medical application? Because tantalum does not react with body fluids. This is one important property which medical equipments need. Okay, so it is used to make surgical equipment and implants like artificial joints. So they must not interact with the bodily fluids, okay, like blood or other things, sweat or other things. Okay, so surgical equipment and implants are made using this tantalum, and then cutting edge material is also used. Is also using tantalum, that is composite with tantalum carbide. Okay, tantalum carbide. Okay, and graphite is one of the hardest materials. So a composite of tantalum carbide with graphite. Composite means mixture of two. Okay, mixture of many. So tantalum carbide along with graphite, that composite is one of the hardest material which is used in high speed machine tool cutting edges. Okay, so these are all the applications of tantalum that we need to know, and this was found in the Sutlej river sand. That is what important is. The topic that we are going to discuss now is gamma ray burst disrupts ionosphere. So what are these gamma ray bursts? Where do they occur? And why is it affecting ionosphere of atmosphere? This is what we need to know. So according to recent researchers, gamma ray burst, which is triggered by a supernova explosion. So what is a supernova explosion? It occurs during death of a star, okay, end of a star. So supernova explosion in a galaxy which is situated nearly 2 billion light years from the Earth, and this gamma ray burst has induced a notable disruption in the ionosphere of Earth. This is why it is in news, and this has been identified by researchers and they are analyzing it furthermore. Okay, so approximately 2 billion years ago, okay, approximately 2 billion years ago, a distant galaxy outside our Milky Way, from there, okay, a large star met its end in a colossal explosion known as supernova, and this event released immense surge of gamma rays, which is called as gamma ray burst. So only during such events like a colossal explosion called supernova, where a star dies. Okay, during those times only such immense surge of gamma rays will be happening. Okay, and the journey of these waves spanned across the cosmos. Okay, it is 2 billion light years, sorry, 2 billion years ago this has happened, and then now in 2022 we are experiencing the gamma ray burst here in Earth. Okay, so it has, these waves have spanned across the cosmos, reaching Earth in 2022, October 2022. Okay, so it has taken these many years to reach Earth. That is how space events work. Okay, it will be very interesting. Next is, what is gamma ray burst, that we need to know. Okay, so gamma ray burst are short-lived explosions of gamma rays. From the name itself we can understand that it involves gamma ray, a short-lived explosion. Okay, and then what are gamma rays? They are the most energetic form of the light. Next is, they last from a few milliseconds to several hours. Okay, only short duration, so that is why it is called short lived. Okay, so few milliseconds to several hours, and they shine hundreds of times brighter than typical supernova. Okay, there will be typical supernova, right? So when compared to that, it will be brighter, hundreds of times brighter than it, and then about million trillion times brighter as the sun, which is very heavy. Okay, next is, observed in the distant galaxies, they are the brightest electromagnetic events known to exist in the universe. Very important. Okay, so gamma ray bursts are the brightest electromagnetic events known to exist in the universe. Statements like these are very important from exam point of view. Okay, next is, there are different types of gamma ray burst. Let us understand that. So astronomers has classified gamma ray burst into two. One is long duration and another is short duration events. Okay, so these two events are likely created by different processes, but then they both result in creation of a new black hole. Very important. Okay, both long and short duration gamma ray burst are created by different processes, but then the outcome, okay, the result is the creation of a new black hole. Okay, first let us understand long duration burst or long duration gamma ray burst. It lasts anywhere from 2 seconds to several hours. Already we saw that it is happening only from few milliseconds to few hours. Okay, so here it lasts from 2 seconds to several hours, and although they are associated with the death of the massive star in supernovas, so these long duration bursts are because of death of massive stars in supernovas, which must be understood. But not every supernova results in gamma ray burst. This is also important. Okay, so not every supernova results in gamma ray burst, but then long duration gamma ray bursts are because of the death of massive stars in supernova. One important point to be noted. Next is short duration burst. They last less than 2 seconds, only less than 2 seconds, and then they appear to result from the merger of two neutron stars into a new black hole. Okay, even here a black hole is created because of the death of a massive star, and even here because of the merger of two neutron stars a black hole is created, or it may be a merger of one neutron star and a black hole, thus forming a larger black hole. That might also happen. Okay, so here in the long duration burst, gamma ray burst, death of massive star is happening, thus black hole is created. Here in short duration gamma ray burst, two neutron stars are merging, or a neutron star is merging with another black hole, thus forming a bigger black hole. Okay, so anyway black hole is created. That is what we need to understand here. Okay, so these are all the two types of gamma ray burst, and we need to understand about the study. What have they studied and what is its outcome? So the effects of gamma ray burst were studied with the help of China's Seismo electromagnetic satellite, also called as Zhangheng, which is a Chinese-Italian mission launched in 2018. Okay, and then this gamma ray burst induced a remarkable disturbance in the Earth's ionosphere. What is ionosphere? A zone extending from 300 to 600 miles above the planet's surface, I mean Earth's surface, and then detected in 2022. This gamma ray burst was detected in 2022 October. Okay, so the gamma rays lingered for about 13 minutes, affecting ionosphere for several hours, and it even triggered lightning detectors in India. Okay, next is scientists identified this gamma ray burst as the most potent ever recorded. Very important to be noted. Okay, so all these points are important. What is gamma ray burst? What are the different types of gamma ray burst, and what is the mechanism involved in it? Next, what is the study that has been made? Now we have to understand a little, very briefly, about what ionosphere is, because ionosphere is the one which is getting affected here or disrupted here. So we need to understand what ionosphere is. So ionosphere, it is a region of the Earth's upper atmosphere spanning an altitude of approximately 30 to 600 miles, that is 50 to 950 kilometers above Earth's surface. And then ionosphere is ionized by solar radiation, important, which creates a layer of charged particles. So that is why it is called as ionosphere, because it has a layer of charged particles, and this is ionized by solar radiation, and it is highly sensitive to changing magnetic and electrical conditions in space. So even if there is slightest change in electrical condition and magnetic condition in the space, then this ionosphere will get disrupted, and this is usually connected to solar activity. Because of solar activity only, magnetic and electrical conditions are changing in the ionosphere. Okay, and it also expands and contracts in response to solar radiation. This is also there. Okay, this statement is important, that ionosphere expands and contracts depending upon the solar radiation, in response to solar radiation. Okay, next is, what is the significance of ionosphere? First point is, radio propagation. That is one important point. That is, ionosphere affects the propagation of radio waves by reflecting and refracting them back to Earth. So it reflects and refracts the radio waves back to Earth. Thus, this phenomenon enables long distance communication via radio transmission. That is how radio transmission is happening, because this radio signal goes to the ionosphere and then it is reflected and refracted back. Okay, so that is why that is how long distance radio transmission is happening. Next is protection from solar radiation. So this ionosphere also acts as a protective layer to protect we human beings from certain harmful solar radiation. So particularly from the sun's extreme ultraviolet rays. Okay, we all know that the ozonosphere absorbs maximum of ultraviolet rays. Even before that, ionosphere also traps certain ultraviolet rays. Next is aurora formation. Aurora formation is also because of this ionosphere only. So interactions between charged particles from the sun and the magnetic field of the earth. Because of the interaction of the magnetic field of the earth and the charged particles from the sun, there are events happening like aurora, okay, which are luminous displays predominantly seen in high latitudes, okay, both in north and south. Okay, so this is what we need to understand from this topic, that is gamma ray burst, which disrupts ionosphere. The topic that we are going to discuss now is increase in measles death. Why is there an increase in measles death, and who has observed this? Let us understand that. So according to new assessments by World Health Organization and United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention, a number of measles death the number of measles death worldwide has increased by 43% from 2021-22 because of falling vaccination rates. So the reason that they have stated here is because of falling vaccination rates, and then more importantly, the low income countries where the risk of measles related death is the highest. This is important. And these low income countries have the lowest vaccination rate, that is just 66%. Okay, indicating no recovery at all from the backslide during the pandemic. During COVID-19 pandemic, there was a black backslide in this vaccination rate, and then still it has not attained the normalcy. Okay, so it is still the lowest the low income countries has the lowest vaccination rate of 66%. That is the reason why measles death are increasing worldwide, and it has increased by 43%, which is important. Now we need to briefly understand what measles is. Okay, so measles is a highly contagious viral disease. So it is a viral disease. Next, it spreads through respiratory droplets, which is transmitted by breath, sneeze, and cough of the infected person. And then it is caused by single-stranded enveloped RNA virus with one serotype. Very important that it is also a RNA virus. Okay, and then it belongs to a member of the genus called morbillivirus in the family Paramyxoviridae, and this point is very important that humans are the only natural host of measles virus. Okay, such statements can be asked that humans are the only natural host of measles virus. So this is what we need to know about measles related death. Okay, 43% increase was observed. The topic that we are going to discuss now is NASA's atmospheric waves experiment. So what are these atmospheric waves experiment, and why are they conducting this experiment, and what is its use? Let us understand that. So NASA's unveiling of atmospheric waves experiment emerges amidst escalating disruptions in satellite communication and GPS system. Okay, so there is an increasing disruption in satellite communication and GPS system, and this can be addressed with the help of this experiment. I mean, from the understanding of this experiment, this can be addressed. That is atmospheric waves experiment. We'll understand about the experiment in detail, which spotlight the critical need to comprehend space weather. So we need to know what space weather is. Next is, with Earth's extreme weather events influencing space phenomena with atmospheric gravity waves. So what is atmospheric gravity waves? This atmospheric gravity waves are influencing the space phenomenon or influencing space weather. So we need to understand what space weather is and also what atmospheric gravity waves are. And these atmospheric wave experiments imminent launch promises groundbreaking insight into the interconnection between these two. That is atmospheric gravity waves and then the space weather, how they both are interconnected, and then the dynamics between them. This is being studied by atmospheric wave experiment. This is what we need to know. So let us understand what space weather is. Okay, so space weather is the term used to describe the dynamic conditions in the space environment around the Earth and also other planets, which are influenced by the activity of the sun and interaction between the solar wind and the planet's magnetic field. Here the planet may be any planet here. Okay, but here in our discussion we will be specifically restricting our talk to Earth. Okay, so Earth's magnetic field and then the solar wind, the interaction between these two is causing dynamic conditions in the space environment. That is called as space weather. And then this space weather can affect various aspects of human activities and technologies like satellite based communication, navigation and power system, and as well as astronaut health and safety and aviation and space exploration. All these can be affected because of extreme space weather. Okay, and this is being triggered by the interactions between solar wind and the planet's magnetic field. Okay, so now we need to understand about the atmospheric gravity waves, which is actually influencing space weather. Okay, so what atmospheric gravity waves are? In a stable atmosphere, gravity waves are created when temperature contrast happens. So between what and what? Between rising air and the surrounding atmosphere. So when there is temperature contrast between the rising air and the surrounding atmosphere, then a force is created. Okay, and this generation of force pushes the air back to its initial conditions or initial location. That is why it is called as gravity waves. Okay, so atmospheric gravity waves. And atmospheric gravity waves are waves that travel with stable atmospheric, travel within stable atmospheric layer, particularly thriving in regions where air is moving upward. Okay, that is the rising air that we discussed here, facilitating creation of distinctive cloud formation. These air which is moving upward is responsible for creation of distinctive cloud formations here. Okay, and then remarkably, these atmospheric gravity waves extend into space, playing a role in shaping space weather also. We understood what space weather is, and this space weather is being disturbed or disrupted by these atmospheric gravity waves, which extends into space also, but maximum of their effects are observed only in lower atmosphere. This must also be understood. Next is, they are mostly generated by extreme weather events or disturbances caused by vertical displacement of stable air, which we already discussed. And then thunderstorm, hurricanes and regional topography contribute to generation of atmospheric gravity waves in lower atmosphere. Okay, very important point, that thunderstorm, hurricane and even regional topography also influences the generation of atmospheric gravity waves in lower atmosphere, and this is going to impact space weather. Okay, because they extend into space also. So this is what we need to know. And what about the NASA's experiment? Okay, they are going to study the relationship between these two, right? The space weather and the atmospheric gravity waves. So a pioneering NASA experiment under Heliophysics Explorer program, this atmospheric wave experiment aims to study the connection between lower atmospheric waves and space weather. Very important. Okay, and then it is mounted on International Space Station. This experimental setup is mounted on International Space Station, and then it will observe the colorful air glows in the Earth's atmosphere, specifically at mesosphere. Okay, in atmosphere we have different layers like troposphere, stratosphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, mesosphere and other things. Okay, so in the mesopause, okay, where the mesosphere ends, that is about 85 to 87 kilometers above the Earth's surface, that is where this study is conducted. Okay, and then what is the objective of this experiment or this mission? To understand the forces driving space weather and investigating the potential impact of terrestrial weather on it. Okay, the terrestrial weather here we discussed was that atmospheric gravity waves. Okay, how is it going to impact space weather? This is what we need to understand. The topic that we are going to discuss now is 2D protein monolayer to study amyloidosis. Okay, so what is this amyloidosis? What is this 2D protein made of? 2D protein monolayer made of? We need to understand this in greater detail. So recently researchers have achieved a significant breakthrough in disease study through creation of two-dimensional protein layer or protein monolayer using lysosome molecules. So they are going to study disease with the help of this lysosome molecule monolayer, 2D monolayer. Okay, so what is this lysozyme? Lysozyme is a naturally occurring enzyme which is found in various bodily secretions like tear, saliva and mucus, and it plays a crucial role in the body's defense system against bacteria. Very important. Okay, so they are going to kill bacteria. That is what is important. Lysozyme, it is a naturally occurring enzyme which is found in tears, saliva and mucus, and then this enzyme works by breaking down the cell walls of certain bacteria. How does it work? It breaks down the cell wall of certain bacteria, essentially disrupting their structure and leading to their destruction. This is how it works. Okay, what else do we have to understand about this 2D monolayer? That lysozyme is the principal component of airway fluid. Okay, we already saw that it affects bacteria, it kills bacteria, it acts as a defense mechanism against bacteria. and it is also a principal component in human airway fluid, okay, thus serving as a model protein in investigating disease like amyloidosis, which triggers multi-organ dysfunction. So we are talking about amyloidosis. So what is this amyloidosis? Amyloidosis refers to a group of rare conditions which is characterized by accumulation of abnormal protein. So this disease is because of accumulation of abnormal protein clumps called amyloids, okay, in various organs and tissues throughout the body. And then these amyloid proteins typically are made of misfolded proteins which can disrupt the normal organ functions like heart, kidney, liver, spleen, and even cause damage over time. So this is how it is affecting different organs, that is abnormal protein clumps called amyloids, okay, amyloidosis. Next is about the study, about the research. So scientists assemble lysozyme molecules into 2D monolayer, and it is done using a technique called Langmuir-Bourget technique. Okay, Langmuir-Bourget technique is used to form these 2D monolayer of lysozyme. The changes observed in the structure and the shape of the lysozyme molecule under different pH conditions remarkably mirror the abnormalities seen in the amyloidosis. This is how it is going to be studied. Okay, in different pH condition, how the shape of this monolayer or the structure of this monolayer is going to vary. Depending on that, they are going to study this amyloidosis. Okay, next. This groundbreaking research not only paves the way for more profound comprehension of amyloidosis, but also establishes a versatile platform for probing disease mechanisms. Okay, so it is not only specifically for amyloidosis, but it can also be used for probing other disease mechanism also. So this is what we need to know about this particular news article. I hope you understood all the topics that we discussed. And we have come to end of today's session. Let us see in the next session. Thank you.